So first you're gonna add a flow machine to your player. It could be a macro embedded, but I recommend it's a macro. And you just name it to whatever you want. Just call it player. Dock it down here. We're gonna remove the start event because we don't need it. Now here we're gonna get screen to world point. Here we're just gonna get our main camera. Get our mouse position. Now what this will do is it'll get our mouse position on the screen and turn it into a point in the world. So next we're gonna make this into a super unit. Now this is completely optional, you don't have to do this, but I like to make this cleaner and easier to read. Next you're gonna subtract and you're gonna get the one with the vectors. Now you're gonna put the mouse position first and then the position of your player second. Now this will just get a vector of a straight line to the mouse. Next we're gonna get a tan 2. Now we're gonna get the X and the Y of this. Put the Y where it's supposed to go and the X there. Next we're going to do rad to degree. It's basically turning it into degrees. You're just going to multiply rad to degree with the tan 2 output. So make sure tan 2 is A and rad to degree is B. So now we're going to subtract it because it's going to be inverted and we need to uninvert it. So we're going to subtract it by 90. Next, all we have to do is just get a rigid body 2D rotate. You gotta make sure it's the one with the angle. And you're just gonna hook it up to the flow. Now we have not set our rigid body up yet, so we're gonna do that. And here we go. We now have our player looking at our mouse. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm gonna also make this a super unit, just to make it look cleaner. So next we are going to do player movement. So let's just put set position. So here we're going to get our input get access. Now basically what this does, it will return a 1 or a -1 based on what we're pressing. So if we're pressing A, it'll return -1. If we're pressing D, it will return 1. Now this is good for movement without actually putting on button input W or S or A. Now we're just going to put horizontal there. And you're going to add it with the current position of your player. We're just going to get the X because that's what we want to change. And now we'll just put it to the set position. Now we're going to do the same thing with vertical. So we're going to duplicate that, type in vertical. Now we're going to do the same thing here except with the Y. Perfect. Now you can clearly see that this is all like a jumbled mess right here. So I'm just going to create a super unit and clean all this up. You don't need to do this, but I just liked seeing things a lot cleaner. So we're just going to make this a super unit. Now, notice how I put multiply here. Now you can multiply this by a value and you could set that as the player's speed. Now that value could be equal to a variable. So I'm just going to make that here. You don't have to do this, but you could do this to control how fast your player moves. Now as you can see, we can move around but at insanely fast speeds. I could make this lower, but it's still pretty fast. Now there's a reasoning behind this. The reason for that is because we are using update, meaning how many times it does move player is completely dependent on our frame rate. So we'll be moving slower the lower our frame rate is, and a lot faster the higher our frame rate is. So how do we fix this? Well, we could just make them fixed update. Now this will make it so it will be independent from the frame rate, and no matter what the frame rate is, it'll always run at the same speed. Now you'll see that there's not that much of a difference here, but that's because it is a fixed update, so it updates a lot. We could just fix this by making it a lower value. See, now it seems to be working at a normal speed. On my next tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to shoot out of your gun using bolt, because this tutorial is already getting pretty long. Tell me in the comment section what else you want me to cover, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.